Jenny Rozelle is an intentional investor out now on Epsilon Theory YouTube. Oh, we have good stuff in this one. We talk about stubborn as a superpower. That's close to my heart. I can think about being stubborn as a superpower all day. We talk about small town kids moving up to kind of big cities, pretty big cities, big cities. You can still live outside, have cattles and have cattles. It's not even a word. Have cows, do that type of thing. It's pretty cool. And most of all, the business that she has now, just building a business that's a true community asset because of the people who shepherded her through on the way up, how she's taking care of the business she runs now with her husband. Incredible stuff. Jack Forehand, roll some clips.
I said in second grade that I wanted to be a lawyer. And what I always jokingly tell people is I'm so darn stubborn that I think that I said that at second grade and then I didn't want to be proven wrong. And so I'm like, well, I have to keep this up. I've got to keep this. I can't be proven wrong. I've got to become a lawyer. They ended up moving about an hour and a half west of Indianapolis, very rural area out there, lots of small towns. And neither one of my parents went to college. And so that's really what led them down a path of, rolling up the sleeves and trying to figure out how to make a living. I was like, no, I don't really care about getting married. I was like, I don't care. Like, I want to go to school. I want to be successful. I'm going to take over this world. We have cattle. It forces us, we get home and we love those little cows so much. And it forces us to separate work from home, because then we go out there. He's, getting the corn for him. I'm filling up the water tanks. And so it's a little bit of comfort, but it's also my Justin always calls it's his therapy. It's very therapeutic to both of us.
I need more about Susan Hunter.
Yeah. Amazing woman. I mean, I don't know what I did to get on Craigslist that one specific day in my world. She actually paid for my law school admission test, kept me accountable to, getting through the application process. I don't know what I did right to have her in my life, but she is definitely one of those pivotal people that led me to be where I am. And what's so cool, Matt, is that I see clients today that I knew way back then that they will say, Jenny, we've watched you grow up from, going to law school, passing the bar exam, getting married, buying this law firm. And it makes my heart just burst because it's so true.
Welcome to The Intentional Investor with Matt Zeigler, where he and his guests explore the intersection of investing and life, portfolio, and purpose. Nothing in this podcast is investment advice. Nothing in this podcast is advising you to buy or sell any security or to do anything with your money. Seriously, you should only act on investment advice from someone you know and who knows your unique situation. We are not that person. Matt Zeigler is a managing director at SunPoint Investments, and the opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the opinions of SunPoint Investments or of Second Foundation Partners. Securities discussed in the podcast may be holdings of SunPoint Investments.
You're watching The Intentional Investor right here on Epsilon Theory YouTube. I'm Matt Zeigler. Now, this guest, I have three personalities, three distinct personalities. I'm getting little hints of in this, so we're going to unpack this together. One part Chip. So the first thing I'm sensing is a little Chip, the teacup from Beauty and the Beast, son of Mrs. Potts, yes, but also, if any background character would have a take on the legal perspective of Belle's status as a cohabitee of Beast with complex rights and asset ownership issues, I'd like to think that spot of legal tea would go to Chip. So I'm getting a little Chip in there. Am I onto something?
You're onto it.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. All right, the other part, which I'm sure is not literally there, but I think it's a hint. Again, a hint. Another part, iced tea, the rapper, not the drink. Iced tea, the rapper, for the second career that's embedded in the first and third career focus, where he goes from rhyme pays iced tea to cop killer to actually being a cop on TV, which is almost a cop for real, but there's that loving for that whole procedural element of stories and the humanity that's in them that Ice-T's just a perennial Law and Order fan. We got a little Law and Order
Yeah,
there?
a little bit. Yeah.
All right. We're teasing this stuff out. Last but not least, I can't tell if it's Aaron Brockovich or Ally McBeal, or maybe it's Law and Order, but there's a really high level of legally blonde Elle Wood coming here and the positivity and energy level. which I respect the hell out of, let me just say. And all this to combine, just so I could put this together. Mama, there's a girl in the castle. And if they ask you if she's deaf, don't front say kinda. And because you must always have faith in people. And most importantly, you must have faith in yourself. Indiana estate and elder law attorney owner, Legal Tea podcast host, and annoyingly huge Butler basketball fan, Jenny Rozelle. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. I'm going to make that my new bio on my website and really just scare people.
Listen, if you get a reason to get Legally Blonde, iced tea, and Chip from Beauty and the Beast into the same thing, you run with it.
Yes, absolutely.
Them's the rules.
I'm here for it.
All right, so I'm starting with the really hard-hitting question before we go all the way back. I'm going to go most of the way back because we know you're an attorney and blah, 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 elder
Boring.
law, all sorts of boring stuff. Okay, parents have the convenience store. They're dragging you to work.
Yeah.
What is young Jenny watching on VHS tapes in the back of that convenience store?
Like every movie in the 1990s. So my little background here. So my parents were small business owners. They owned a little grocery store, right? My sister and I, hilariously, are only 10 months apart. So we're basically kind of twins in a way. At least that's what it felt like for my parents. And any small business knows that, it's a all hands on deck kind of thing. And so my mom and dad ran the convenience store. My sister and I were always in tow with them. And we would just hang out in the back room. And it was back in the day, where you could like rent VHS movies. And we would just, watch like every movie, ones, Disney ones.
Give me some highlights. Come on. What are some of the...
It's actually my favorite highlight of those times. It's not even a VHS tape. Actually, it's learning to type on a typewriter. Because back then, they did everything on a typewriter. And that's how I learned to type. I would, be the nosy little daughter, like, "What are you doing, Mom?" And I'd just plop down and, help her with some of her stuff. And that's how I learned to type, was on her. I very vividly remember that. I don't vividly remember any specific movies that we watched. But it's those moments, like little ones like that I remember like it was yesterday. And it was not yesterday.
Nothing beats that tip-tapping of the typewriter, though. There is a magic to the mechanicalness of that
Then you make a mistake and you're like,
But then the cool backspace whiteout. I don't know if you had one of the
Yes.
fancy ones.
Oh, we did.
Yeah,
We did.
That's the good
Yep.
stuff right there. All right, let's go all the way back further. So mom and dad, first off, yes, business owners. How does that even happen? Did they when did they meet? Did they go to college together? Did they go to high school together? What's this story?
Yeah, so they met each other in just good old central Indiana. They moved. They were in Virginia Beach for a while. Then they came back home to get closer to family. And then ultimately, as we were talking actually right before we hit record, they ended up moving about an hour and a half west of Indianapolis. Very rural area out there, lots of small towns. And neither one of my parents went to college. And so that's really what led them down a path of, rolling up the sleeves and trying to figure out how to make a living. And so as things would happen, they ended up, they opened the convenience store that I was just talking about, but they opened another little one right down the road. So is that like a monopoly?
It's small town monopoly.
A
Yes,
small
it
town
counts. It
monopoly.
qualifies.
Yep. And so, yeah, that's, that really is what kind of how things transpired. And ultimately they ended up selling both, and went into corporate America and that sort of thing, but wouldn't change my upbringing for anything.
All right. So middle of nowhere, one sister, only sibling, just one sister?
Just one sister. Yep.
Sister still out there in the world doing good
Yep.
things?
Yep.
What's sister up to these days?
Yeah, they're all actually still back home, about an hour and a half west of Indianapolis. My sister's in the medical profession. She's in the ENT. What is that? Ear, nose,
and
throat. And the kind of more administrative office side of things. But yeah, like I said, we're only 10 months apart. And so what's funny is, people, I think the joke people always say is the Irish twin thing. But we could not be any more opposite. I mean, any more opposite. She had the, she's always wanted to get married and have a family, and I was like, no, I don't really care about getting married. I mean, I fast forward time, which I'm sure we can talk about. I meet my husband in law school, but I was like, I don't care. Like I want to go to school. I want to be successful. I'm gonna take over this world. That was like, I mean, I was like, as soon as I get out of here, I'm peacing out and I'm taking over the world. And my sister, and she was like, no, I'm cool. I'm cool just staying home. So yeah, she's wonderful.
That's amazing. I love the intra-family oppositeness and how that works.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 months apart, you're growing up in the same environment, but you're already starting to diverge. She's playing homemaker or whatever else. And you're thinking, I want to get out of here. What are you into as a kid besides learning how to type on the typewriter?
Yes. Yeah. I was just always so school focused. I jokingly tell people, I have my second grade teacher. She had me, or she had all of us do some kind of like, what do you want to be when you get older kind of thing. And I said in second grade that I wanted to be a lawyer. And what I always jokingly tell people is I'm so darn stubborn that I think that I said that at second grade, and then I didn't want to be proven wrong. And so I'm like, well, I have to keep this up. I've got to keep this. I can't be proven wrong. I've got to become a lawyer. I did. So I just was very much into my education, very much into sports. I did softball. I did golf. Um, and ultimately, made my way through all my cool schooling. Fun fact, I was the homecoming queen, which I'm sure you can, from my energy, I can literally talk to anyone. So that probably is how I'm just always nice to people. I feel like life is too short to be a turd. And so being nice is just paid such dividends for me throughout my life. And so get out of high school and head to the big city of Indianapolis, and I've never been back. Well, I mean, I've been back to visit them, but I never moved back. Yeah.
All right. One high school question, just because aside from the homecoming court, congratulations, Your Highness.
Your Highness.
It's
Add
important.
that to my bio too.
Add it to your bio. It's important to know if you've been royalty. It never goes away. Never goes away. Were you a grade chaser? Are you like a valedictorian too? Are you I need to get A's on everything, or do you give yourself leeway on the grades?
I never gave myself leeway really until law school.
What's that mean, leeway to you? Like
anything below like an A- would have been unacceptable.
Is a failure
to me. Yeah, is a failure. I mean, I felt like I think because this is a really common theme that through my life and profession, that I'm just a really hard worker. And I'm convinced it's because I watched my parents work their butts off. Like I don't know how to not give anything less than 200%. And so when that translated into my academics. Like I worked my butt off. And so if that didn't produce an A, it felt like, what else could I have done? What else on earth could I have done? And so that definitely changed to law school, because law school is a whole crazy environment. That was like survival mode. But yeah, to answer your question, I was definitely, I needed A's to feel like I was doing a good job.
Did opposite sister have the same experience, or was she wired totally differently and she was getting C's and like laughing at you?
Oh yeah, she was. Well, we give her a hard time now because now that we're way decades now down the road. She's older. She's 10 months older than I am, and so she was kind of paving this path through our teeny tiny little small school. Of she'd be totally fine getting C's and a little D here and there, maybe a B here and there. And so when I was coming in the grade right behind her, all the teachers were like, "Oh, that's Kim's sister. So, 1 plus 1 equals 2 kind of thing." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." And so what's funny is she would tell you if she was sitting right here, she would tell you that I got such good grades because every time we, be at home and play school, she would teach me everything she knew. So I was basically learning everything a year ahead.
She was just downloading it into your
Yes.
brain, so you got the full benefit. You were getting the
Yes.
cheat code, older
Yes.
sister. As an
That's
older
what she
sibling,
would
I can relate to this.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
this logic.
Yeah.
All right, so the A- thing is really interesting. At the end of high school, are you still on full lawyer track, or what are you saying to yourself and other people that you're doing at the end of high school?
Yeah, so at the end of high school, I was heading to, Butler University, hence the annoying Butler basketball fan intro. Um, I always had that was always the goal, was going to law school. So what too many law pre-law students fall into the trap of is going into, like, political science, history. That was my majors, was political science and history. What in the world do you do with that besides going to law school? I have no idea. So, I'm glad that it ended up panning out, but, maybe being a librarian or something? I talk way too much for that. Um, but what's cool about law school is that you can actually have any major. Like, it's not like med school, for example, when you have to be like, a biology major or like some kind of science major. And actually, law schools really like to see very diverse majors, music, arts, just kind of things that are maybe not super traditional majors going into law school. So, yeah, so I headed to Butler, and my major was political science and history. Um, and I stuck with it. That was all 4 years.
Inside of that, you must have liked or been drawn to some of it, like political. Are you a student government kid? Are you what's the thing where the kids all pretend they're politicians? Did you do that?
Oh,
United Nations?
oh
No.
yes, yeah, yes,
You did
United
all that
Nation.
stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Debate? Did you do any of these things?
Not in college. And my teeny tiny little high school didn't have any of that stuff. But I think I really just I did those majors because that was a very traditional
Mm.
way to set yourself up for law school. I mean, I enjoyed the courses. Like, I do like, um, you know, world history. I like those kind of things, but, hindsight's always 2020, right? I could have probably done a different major and maybe had been as slightly more passionate about it. Um, but I definitely chose those majors solely because that they were kind of setting me up for law school.
Mom and dad, are they young Jenny the lawyer the whole way? They're on board with this and they just agree and they see no. What do they think? Any input
Yeah,
at all?
yeah, they are my biggest cheerleaders, biggest supporters. Actually, I don't know if you saw this, but I was just with my dad yesterday. We're opening another office location here in Indiana, and we spent the whole day painting an office together. And he loves to help me in any way like that. So they're my biggest supporters. I think, and this is something that my parents and I have talked about before because neither one of them went to college. My sister went to a business school and got her 2-year degree. No one had any experience or perspective or really even opinion on a more traditional 4-year school and degree. And so I was a little bit flying blind of, what this looks like from a lot of different perspectives. And so, but of course, they knew me. They knew that I was the go-getter, gold star prude child that, these kind of talks of, going to more schooling than they have ever done, going to law school, that they weren't surprised by it because of just the things that were leading up to it. Yeah.
They saw it coming. I get it.
Yep.
Okay, so college comes, you're there, poli-sci, history. Is it all just how fast can I graduate and get on to the next phase of this? What else are you doing at the time?
Um, I loved my undergrad experience. I don't feel like I was trying to rush it. Which I'm going to change my tune when we get to start talking about law school. You'll hear me say like very different answers. Like I loved those moments from. I think it really comes from being such a small town kiddo, going to the big city to go to college. I'm experiencing a vastly different environment than my entire childhood has been, right? And my my entire upbringing has been. And so it was such an amazing experience. I did a really cool program while I was in undergrad called Semester at Sea, where I lived on a ship.
Oh,
And
literally at sea? Like not
yeah,
just
have
like
you heard of it?
I thought I had, but maybe
Yes.
not this. Explain
It
what
is
this
the
is.
most amazing thing, besides marrying my husband, is the most amazing thing that I've ever done in my life. Going back to that small town Indiana kid, my lens was like, very straight and narrow. I didn't know what was out there. So I get to Butler and, I'm kind of tossing the idea around to studying abroad, but I'm a busybody. Like, I don't really want to just go and, study abroad in London or Spain and just like that be it. And so nothing really ever piqued my interest until I had learned about this Semester at Sea program, which basically is you live on a ship and it's a semester long. And anytime you're sailing, you are taking classes. And then when you get to a country, you are there for like 4 to 5 days. And so when you're in country, you don't have class. And it's really truly an experience where you're not there to, sip margaritas and, hang at the beach. Like this is like traveling. This is not vacationing. And so that has been one of the biggest highlights of my entire life was that Semester at Sea experience. That was during my undergrad time. It was the right before my senior year, the summer of my senior year, or summer of in between my junior and senior year. And so when I think back at my undergrad experience, I think of just so many amazing things that I got to experience that never in a million, like I just never would have thought I, would have been able to experience.
All right. Give me just a couple of examples. Like what are places where you found port on this Semester at Sea? Give me some highlights.
My favorite one was Turkey, Istanbul, Turkey.
Not Constantinople.
Huh?
Not Constantinople. I'm obligated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably second place was a tie between Egypt and Morocco. Maybe Egypt slightly above Morocco. I just think about, those ports compare. So we basically went like Southern Europe, so Spain, Italy, Croatia, Greece, Bulgaria, then Turkey, and then Northern Africa, so Egypt, Morocco. And then we sailed all the way from Canada to Spain. And then going home, we went from Morocco to Virginia. I mean, talk about things that this small town Indiana kid is. I mean, it was such a completely different environment. I mean, I don't even like times about 1,000,000,000,000. When you are a small town country kid and you go into a country that, predominantly is Muslim and you are visiting these amazing, beautiful mosques and they're encouraging you to, dress in, proper attire. It's those little things that are just, I just treasure. I really, truly treasure so many people do not get to experience things like that. And I did. And I feel so grateful for being able to do that.
Do you feel like the history major, not so much the poli sci, but certainly like there's an interest in this otherworldly, broader worldly historical awareness that you're coming into, but it's different to get it out of the book and get it into real life. And this feels like this was like a pivotal moment of kind of like pulling reality into the textbook or reality out of the textbook for you.
Totally.
Is that how it feels?
Yeah. I mean, I think academically, but also personally too.
Yeah. It's a whole life. It's immersive when you do that.
Completely. Yes. Yeah. And I met some of the coolest people. It's a really small ship. Like, it's not like this like massive cruise ship. Like, I think there were at the time, they do a different ship nowadays, but at the time I think there were like 400 of us students. And so, those friendships that I gained in that experience are just ones that are so very different.
You still have those friends now? You still in touch with them?
Gosh, yes. I could basically go anywhere in the US and have a semester at sea friend that I could, if my car broke down, I probably have a semester at sea friend at least an hour or two away that I could call. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so you come back from semester at sea. You're now Jenny of the world. Like what happens when you come back after that experience with what comes next, with school, I guess?
Yeah, so getting through my senior year of college, and then graduation hits. And, I think throughout the entire senior year of undergrad, I was really contemplating like, okay, I think I'm fairly certain I want to go to law school, but I'll never understand how I really was this like street smart, but I was, and that I paused and I was like, okay, law school is just as much as a financial investment as it is an educational one. And Jenny, you should probably confirm that law is actually what you want to do. And I'll never really understand how I had that wherewithal, because I think a lot of
Nobody says this to you. This is like a
No.
pure self-actualized, I
Yeah.
need to make sure before I make this commitment.
Yes. Yeah. And I just a lot of students at that point, if they do have law school aspirations, they'll go straight to law school. Like, they are, closing the chapter of their undergrad, and, in August they're heading to law school. And I was like, this is a lot of money. I've already had, I'm coming off of this 4-year degree that, I'm having to take money, student loans out for. Like, Jenny, do you really want to keep adding to that balance over there? And so that's when I really just, I imagine like one of those easy buttons, but like instead of an easy, it says pause, where I just like hit that pause button and I just stopped myself. And I just like, it's like in the cartoons, like screechy noise breaks. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I know myself that if law school is what I really want to do, if I take a couple years off, I know I will commit to it. Because I think a lot of people are fearful that, like, once you get out of undergrad, how on earth could you like build up that stamina of like getting back into the swing of school? And I was like, I know myself, like, if I commit to it, I'll do it. But at that time I was hitting my little pause button, and back in that day, I'm sure you'll remember this, that Craigslist was like the cool thing to, look for jobs and
trustworthy
yeah,
and reputable.
yeah,
We
yeah,
didn't think about these things.
yeah, buy a car and apply for a
Sure.
job all on the same website. Yeah.
Get a roommate.
Yeah, and a roommate. Yeah. And what is it, like the Lost Connections or whatever those? It's like, yeah, weird.
The worst section of the newspaper became a whole hub of the internet, and I don't want to know what happens after that. But yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Craigslist.
I literally go on there and I start searching like law firms, law jobs, like anything. And I am just like giving my resume to anyone that will take it. And very long story short, I had some interviews. They I'm sure they were like this little, 22-year-old chickadee. She doesn't really know what she wants to do, whatever. But this one lady, Susan Hunter, she called, set up an interview. We had the interview. We totally just hit it off. Long story short, I ended up starting there, and I start there at the front desk. And I look back on that moment of like, okay, this is my time. I need to like make sure I'm like looking around and like analyzing, like, okay, here you are, Jenny, you're in the legal field. Is this what you want to do? And so that's when I started at, the front desk of a law firm shortly after undergrad. And I'm sure you want me to hit pause right now before I keep going.
I mean, I'm going to say hit pause just for give me like the day one reaction. Is day one reaction, this place is exciting? Is day one reaction, it's a dentist office, but for paperwork? Like what's the gut reaction once you've been accepted, you showed up in the seat, you packed your lunch, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Important details.
Yep.
And you're sitting there and you're like, I don't hate this. Oh God, what have I done?
Oh,
I can't wait to be in that corner.
So excited.
Okay. The legally blonde energy holds true.
Yes. Like I am so excited. Like I think my job at the front desk is like this close into taking over the world. Like I think like this is like my first big girl job.
You're in charge.
I'm like, I've totally made it. I'm sitting here at the front desk, answering phones, greeting clients, and I've made it. So yeah, I remember that level of like excitement. I mean, kind of like the energy, the excitement of like first day of school kind of vibes where everyone's like, extra excited to wake up and get going. At least I was. Yeah. So I was excited, very excited.
Who hires you? What's the interview like that gets you this job? Who's the person who talks to you and puts you in the seat?
That is a hilarious question. I will have to send them this podcast for him to listen to. So it's so Susan Hunter was the founder of this law firm, as well as her call it director of operations. Her name was Jan. They were both in the room. The interview is hilarious because I very specifically remember the whole interview. We talked about how different generations work together in a work environment. Yes.
This is your 22-year-old job interview at the law firm.
Yes, and we're talking about
intergenerational working culture skills, something.
Yeah. Okay. Because I think they made some kind of joke about hiring a millennial. And instead of getting offended, I was like, oh yeah. And I think knowing me, I don't remember doing this, but knowing me, I probably shot something back their way. I don't remember doing that, but yeah. So that's what I remember from the interview. And I think it's because we just had this very natural conversation. It wasn't a very traditional interview. It didn't feel like an interview. It didn't feel like tell me, about this or how you overcame this or your biggest weakness. I don't feel like this podcast.
It felt like a real no. So that's interesting. So right away you got a sense for who they were from that interview too. That must have spoke volumes to your confidence on day one if you knew you could have that level of conversation with them. That's a semester at sea conversation. That's not adults talking to you about their crummy little desk job conversation.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
What happens next? How does this progress? Do you advance off the desk?
Say that again?
Do you advance off the desk?
I do. I finally
promoted in what way?
Yes, because like I said earlier, I don't do anything below 200%. I don't know how to do anything below 200%. And so they, for a long time, my business card was blank because they knew that basically anything that they stuck with me, I would do it well. I would do it right. That's just how I roll. I just do things with so much passion that people can see it. People can absolutely see and feel it. And so it wasn't that long. I came off the desk, I think because they were like, oh, she can, talk to a plant in the corner. She can talk to anyone, but also she's smart too. And we should put her at, actually doing more technical stuff. And so I don't really, all these years really start blurring together, but I don't know how long it was, but I ultimately transitioned off the desk into more of like a paralegal like role, where I did a lot of the back office stuff. But in estate and elder law, there is a lot of client communication. And so you do have to be a little bit of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in a way where you're like, you've got to be very technical and detailed as a paralegal, but also be able to, pick up the phone and really be able to communicate well to people, eh, feed off of how they best communicate. So a lot of our clients are maybe hearing impaired. So you need to slow down. You need to slow down and talk louder. Or sometimes, we were engineers. They also need me to slow down. And so like really being able to, kind of keep your communication styles in check. So a few years I'm in the paralegal like role, and that's about the time that I sat the founder down, and I was like, I wanted to go to law school, and I think I still want to. And she was like, let's do it. Let's do it. Go ahead.
Pause, back up.
Yep.
You're how old? And the relationship with this owner is really, really interesting to me here, because this is not normal.
Yeah.
In the best way.
Yeah, the best way.
That you could even have this conversation with this person. So I need more about Susan Hunter.
Yeah, amazing woman. I mean, I don't know what I did to get on Craigslist that one specific day and like my world crossed paths with hers, but it did. She is now retired. Her and I still stay in very close contact. I was actually just texting her yesterday. She just a wonderful person. She's big on what she calls have you ever heard of BHAGs?
Big, hairy, audacious goals. Yeah.
Yes.
All
so
right.
she's big into those. And so that's when I came to her and I was like, I'm going to tell you my BHAG. And I'm telling you this because I want accountability, and I'm going to need your support on it. And she just has that kind of, I don't even want to call it personality. It's personality, but it's also like how you run a company too. Like she had that, like there's some business owners, managers, whoever out there that would have just shut me down and been like, no, if you want to do that, then, you can't do that and this.
Quit, come back and apply again.
Yeah. That was never, that was never even close to, I mean, she actually paid for my law school admission test, like study course thing. She paid for that. Kept me accountable to, getting through like the application process. She helped like edit my personal statement for my application process. Like looking back, I don't know what I did right to have her in my life, but she is definitely one of those like pivotal people that led me to be where I am, figuratively and literally, which we'll get to. But so she thought I was cuckoo because I was like, here's the thing. I want to still work here full time and go to law school. And she was like, first of all, who the heck does that, you weirdo? Like, no one does that. But what's cool is Indiana University has an evening program. And I was like, Susan, I already got this figured out. Like, you know me at this point, Susan. I don't just say something.
I have
without a
200% to give.
Yes.
All I'm doing is taking back 80% of that. You can still have 120.
Yeah.
I got this.
Seriously. Yeah.
This is dangerous logic. I'm very familiar with this.
So thankfully, the school that I ended up going to had an evening program. I wish more law schools out there offered such a program, because I think more people would be more inclined to entertain getting a law degree. But so that's what ended up happening. She kept me accountable. I get accepted to that law school, IU. and ultimately start there. It was years of my life that, I was actually just on an alumni panel for the law school last week. And I was telling the students, they're all first year students. And I was like, I know I'm going to sound like the robot in the front of the room, what I'm about to say, but it's so true. And that the days would go so slow. Like you're trudging through. In my case, I'm survival mode. Like this is where the script flips, where I'm like, okay, I don't care about A's. I'm trying to stay awake and not get fired at my job and not fail out of law school. Like if I can just survive both, things will be okay. The days went so slow, but the years go so fast. And so I did it. I got through. It's actually the evening program is supposed to be a 4-year program. But I did it in 3 years. And kind of like I was mentioning earlier, it's almost like I just flipped everything, because at that point I was like, I am just trying to crank through. I am trying to crank through so fast, like the Tasmanian devil, because I want out of here. Like I just want to get to the next step. I'm tired of living this survival life. And so yeah, it's almost like I had the opposite feeling of law school that I had for undergrad, where I really enjoyed and wanted to slow down and enjoy the moment. Like I imagine Jenny in a field running and being happy, and then law school I'm in a field and the whole field is on fire. That's if that's a good visual, it works in my head at least.
The little dog with the coffee cup. I mean, it all.
Yeah, it works
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay. Does that experience of trying to show up at work and trying to grind out law school, is that like a major identity conflict for you at that time? Are you're like, I know exactly who I am because I'm going to get through this? Or are you like, I'm falling apart at the seams because right now I am finally stretched too thin after not thinking I could ever be stretched this thin?
No, I never felt like I was about just to cave in. There were definite moments where it was hard. I will never deny that it was hard, but I'm a big person on perspective, and I look around I'm sitting here in this seat, visualizing being in law school in the evening program, and I'm looking around and I can see the faces of my classmates. And people will say Jenny, I cannot believe you did what you did. I can't believe you worked full time and going to law school. And I'm always like, let me tell you about this friend and this friend and this friend. For example, one of my best girlfriends who I'm going to see on Sunday, she worked full time during law school. She had not one, but 2 babies, delivered 2 babies while working full time and going to law school. And so I say I'm a big person on perspective, and I'm like, I didn't have it all that bad. When you really put it into perspective like that, it's like, well, heck, I just had to not get fired from my job. Meanwhile, this girl is bringing 2 humans into this world and working full time and going to law school. And that's what's really cool about the evening program is you're only in the evening program because you've got some other priority in life. You're not just twiddling your thumbs. That's what the day students are the ones that are coming straight from undergrad, usually, and going into law school. The evening program, they're usually working, married, kids, all of the above. So again, hindsight's 2020. Man, I'm so thankful that my law school offered such a program, because I was able to pay for a lot of law school while I was going through it rather than accumulating student loans. So one, I'm very thankful that program even exists, because I'm not kidding, not a lot of law schools have an evening program. And I'm really thankful for who I got to experience that with, my other law school classmates that were also trudging through things. I mean, there was 80 of us that were doing exactly what I was doing, and sometimes like my friend Aubrey doing way more. And so when you go through those kind of like insane experiences, like you make some heck of friendships through those sort of things. So yeah, it was rough. I was trying to get through, but I also, now looking back, I'm like, man, I'm glad that I had that opportunity to go to an evening program. And my goodness, the people I got to experience that with, just awesome, awesome people.
You meet your husband or your now husband at this phase? Is he in
Yep.
night law school too?
Yep.
How
We
does that
met.
happen?
Yep. Our first year of law school. He was a high school teacher by day. So he, like I said, like all of us were trudging through. Like I'm not the only one trudging through. He was a high school teacher by day. He taught history, government, econ. He's really good at Jeopardy. So good at Jeopardy. I'm very jealous of how good he is at that darn game.
You'd probably take him a Wheel of Fortune. It's fine.
I can't. Yes.
See?
Wheel of Fortune's my half an hour to shine. Jeopardy is his.
You're ready for retirement.
Yep, exactly.
Tell us about meeting your husband in law school.
Yeah. So it was the first year of law school. And I think he was in, like, there was a group of like probably 12 to 15 of us that just like really kind of became really close friends at the beginning. And then we stayed very close friends during and still to this day. He was in that group. And I think him and he also finished the program in 3 years as well. And I think that's partially why we were able to both do it, because we had this understanding of like survival, right? Like I'm not it would be very, very difficult. I mean, I do have a lot of friends that were in relationships and marriages with, of course, not law students. But it certainly made things easier when you have someone sitting right next to you in class and like trudging through together, rather than, I'm sorry, I can't call you or whatever. I mean, he's right next to me, all 3 years. So yeah.
What's the end? So first off, the decision to expedite the program. So now you've expedited it. You're still working, and now you're going to law school full time. What's the end of that program like? When all of a sudden you're like, here it is, gonna take this test. This is gonna end. What's that period like?
So oh my goodness. My head went just so many different ways. So it was a blur. A lot of those years were a complete blur. There were so many times that I would drive to law school, because back then it was pre-COVID. So like, to heck with, they didn't do anything virtually. It was like, get your tushy in class and, the old school way, which I think they're still predominantly like that. A lot of it was a blur, Matt. Like it feels like there's some things I just flat don't remember, because it was like, I don't even barely, there were so many times that I don't even remember driving from my work to school. And I'd get to the school parking lot and I'd be like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. And so much of it it was a blur. I laughed because shortly after law school, I don't know if you saw this. I just posted about it on Twitter. Shortly after law school, I fell down one step and like shattered my leg. And so that really put a whole rant. Like, I was trying to study for the bar exam in the hospital. Not good. And so he actually took the bar exam like a cycle earlier than I did. The timing of things, I was like, I'm in the hospital. I've had 2 major surgeries. And so he actually ended up taking the bar exam before I did. But again, then when it was time to take my turn, it was an understanding. Like we were going through a lot of these, like everything together. We had this understanding of like, it is what it is. It's just a necessary thing of it. So yeah, that's why I laughed, is because I had this flashback of my crazy medical, thing.
Well, these are the things, and they always show up at the most inconvenient times.
Always.
Nobody breaks their foot on like, oh, well, it's going to take 6 weeks off to
Yeah.
lay on my porch anyway. Like, this is
Yeah.
when it shows up.
Yeah.
So you end up taking the exams at like staggered times. You go through the recovery or whatever that whole process had to be like. And
Yeah.
can't imagine it's fun to study for the bar exam when you're laid up in a hospital.
No, that's why I chose to. That's why he went forward and took his, and I said I can't take that. I mean, I was on pain medications, like probably not thinking clearly, and I was like, I can't try to retain this stuff. So yeah, I was when I actually did commit. It was the cycle after the bar exams in February and July. He took July, I took February. The following February. And so, yeah, once I was through all the surgeries and all that sort of stuff, then I was able to commit to it. But yeah.
So you take the exam, you passed, you get the magic stamp that says you're a lawyer, you win, and it's over, right? Happily ever after.
Yeah.
What happens after that phase for us non-lawyers?
Yeah. So I feel like that should be like, I mean, I guess there is like a official like swearing in ceremony, but that's like the big thing. Like you get sworn in and then it's like, you're a whole lawyer now. And it's like, oh, okay. And what's funny is, I went through law school and I still stand by this today. I learned a 90, I want to say 99, but I'll say 95. I learned 95% of what I know about estate and elder law by working in the law firm, not by going through law school. Law school helped craft how I think about things, aka just make me a cynic about everything. So I mean, there's certain like kind of more intangible things that I picked up in law school, but yeah, so I get sworn in. I'm a lawyer. And of course, Susan, the founder, the owner, she's there every step of the way. Get through the bar exam. She gave me time off and paid me during studying for law school, or geez, studying for the bar exam. So get on the other side. Now I'm a whole lawyer. And the next big, huge milestone is not long after she comes to me and says, Jenny, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm tired of this place. I've poured my blood, sweat, and tears into this. I want to be done. Do you want to buy this? And I'm like, what? What does that even mean?
And how old are you at this point when this question is posed to you?
Get this right. Probably 30. Let me get this right. 20. Probably late 20s.
Okay.
Maybe close to 30.
I got the sense that you were still in your 20s just from the
Yeah,
timing
maybe
of
like
this, and I'm
28 to
tagging
30.
up.
Yeah,
All
call
right.
it 28 to 30.
And
somewhere.
are you married yet, or is this still pre-wedding bells?
We were either engaged or married by now.
Okay, because
I
like
can't
that's
Huge.
yeah,
Massive.
that's not a small question to say to somebody. And I can tell you a million stories of people asking that question, and the person in your seat is like, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a heart attack when you get asked this question? You go and talk to husband or soon to be husband, like what's the sequence of events? Or are you like, yeah, no problem, I got that too. Like,
Yeah,
switch tables.
I think this is a theme maybe that I'm catching on now that kind of talking all this out, but I was self-aware enough to know, like, I know this place. I know how to craft a estate plan. Like, I know like the legal technical aspects. I know all the processes and systems. Like, I've got all that down. Like, I could, yes. What my skill set is not, or was not, was like running the business, like the
Operations,
The operations,
human
like
resources.
that, like, it's like, how do you even submit payroll? Like, what taxes? I don't understand. Like, I mean, I wasn't involved in any of that at the law firm either. So I was self-aware enough to know to be like, that's not my, like, that, I don't know anything about that. But who does is my husband. My husband is a very, like, he has been very involved in, like, his family farm, like, being an econ guy, like, he knows way more things about numbers than I do. Like, I was like, he's my guy. Like, if this is gonna work, it's gonna be him getting involved in this. And so, at the time, so this is a funny little side note. His name is Justin. So Justin, he is no longer a high school teacher at this point. He is a lawyer doing HOA law. Hilarious, because the guy is the nicest guy. He is like the nicest dude you'll ever meet. And he's the one that's writing like nasty letters if you paint your door purple and it should be blue. Like, he's that one. And so he is,
Cease and desist on wrong
yes,
colored
like,
doors.
he is not enjoying being a lawyer because he's in HOA law writing nasty grams for ridiculous things. So I come home and I'm like, so, yeah, Susan wants to retire. And so long story short, we have that whole conversation. And he was like 100%, let's do it to it. He's like,
Get me out of this thing.
Get me out of.
I never want to write one of these letters again.
Yes.
Show me the books.
Yes, exactly. And that's
Awesome.
what he did. So that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. He was like, I want to see like the financial, like, I want to see that stuff before I'm a solid yes, but I'm pretty much a heck yes. Like, I know enough to know that, you know, the business is profitable. Like, it's probably fine and dandy, but like, just to cross our T's and dot our I's, let's check things out. I'll never forget, he has a friend that is in the financial services industry, and Justin called that friend and just to pick his brain and about this whole transaction. And so Justin was telling this friend about, you know, what was going on, and Justin was like, I'm having to, be able to buy this law firm. Like, we're gonna have to, cash in, a lot of the stuff that we've saved in our young little lives. We're having to cash some of that in. Like, is this the dumbest idea in the world? He asked that to his friend. And I'll never forget, the friend was like, Justin, I think this is what you call the American dream. And so, yeah, he ended up coming on board. So before we actually did the whole transaction, he came on board. He got out of HOA law. He comes on board to start learning the ropes, learning learning the books, learning how to do this, all the operational stuff. Of course, learning how the, field of estate and elder law and how we do what we do, because that's what like, that is my skill set. Like, if I pull this if I, twist this toggle over here, I know the impact that it's going to have on every single team member because I've sat in everybody's seat. I know that place like the back of my hand. And so that's why it works really well, actually, is because he's really he's leaned into his natural skill set of the more operational side. I know the actual like law side and the processes and systems so well that it's a lovely little balance that we have.
Shared values and complementary skills.
Yep.
Over and over again to the end of
Yep.
time. Okay. So you're running this business together. Susan gloriously retires with, you don't have to give me a transaction or anything like that, but that's more or less the way this goes. You just quietly phase her out, become text friend buddies and business confidants.
She stayed on for about a year, or probably about a year, just to help with like, hey, we have this thing. What the heck do we do? A lot more operational things than the legal side of things, but a few little things here and there. But she stayed on for about a year. And what's so funny, Matt, is I love talking about her story as well. Her story and my story are so intertwined naturally. But she got the heck out of Dodge, so she doesn't even live in Indiana anymore. She moved to Nevada, about an hour outside of Las Vegas. And when she's a big dog person, her and her husband have a couple dogs. They move out there and they realize how hot it gets out there. The pavement, like you can't walk dogs like during the day because it's so darn hot. So Miss Little Entrepreneur self, she has since leaving the legal industry, she started a whole dog resort, like from the ground up. Like she has built this business in Nevada. It's like a dog resort. Like it's like a doggy like daycare. They have there's like a whole like swimming pool that they like jump off the diving board or whatever, jump off of it or whatever.
As dogs do.
Yeah.
Resorts.
I always, sometimes I'll have a hard day at the office and I'll text her and I'll be like, you're really onto something with your clients being dogs who can't talk.
That's amazing. So she started like an entire other business, even though she
Yep.
was exhausted and couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
She was like, I know what I need.
Yep.
I just need
dogs.
less humans.
Yep.
Right. I increasingly understand that.
Yeah.
And then how's the business evolve with, so like, do you and your husband then, I don't want to say overhaul the business, but now you get to make it yours.
Yeah.
And that changes a lot of stuff. What changes both to the business and to yourselves as you figure out these roles? Because
Yeah.
certainly you've evolved a lot since you guys took over.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely have. I think what I would say is that clients themselves, they don't know a difference. Like
Sure.
it's the same fields that we're doing, the same process, like nothing changed from a client perspective. And actually, interestingly, that me being at the law firm for so long made that transaction easy peasy, because you think a lot of, small businesses when they're bought and sold, it's this new owner and people are like, well, who is that new owner? But everyone knew me. They were like, oh,
Remember the desk girl?
yeah, remember that? Remember that really annoyingly cheesy girl sitting at the desk? And oh yeah, she was a paralegal for a hot second. Oh, and what's so cool, Matt, is that I see clients today that I knew way back then that they will say, Jenny, we've watched you grow up from, going to law school, passing the bar exam, getting married, buying this law firm. And it makes my heart like just burst because it's so true. It's so, so true. But actually answer your question. Yeah, the client facing things that didn't get changed, but I always tell people we're the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed new owners, right? And so Susan really wanted the place to grow, but I think she got to a point where she was so exhausted and she was just, she like on a gas tank, she was like, it was flashing like you have like 3 miles before you're empty. And so I think we come in and we're like, we're going to grow this thing and we actually have the energy to do it. And so one of the very first things we did, marketing itself used to be spread out between like a whole bunch of different team members. One of the very first things we did was hire a full-time marketing person devoted to like, that is their whole job, is intentionally growing this firm. And that's exactly what happened. We've continued to invest right back into the firm and to the people. It's, probably tripled in size from like a team standpoint. We have about 20 team members total at this point. 3 office locations, about to open a 4th, all in Indiana. And just continuing to grow. And that is our goal. And we've always made that very transparent with our team of, hey, we're not looking just to be on like a kiddie coaster. Like we're like, we want to grow this thing. So either, buckle up or hop off because this is our plan. And we have the best team in the world. Like we didn't lose a single team. Like all the teams stayed through the transaction. It was a little bit of a strange dynamic at first because I was one of them. And then now
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And so there was a little bit of a weirdness, like navigating that. But yeah, didn't lose any employees, didn't lose a single client. Yeah.
It's great. It's a great feeling. I
Yeah.
have to ask you this first, and then I got a bunch of notes, questions for you to follow
Okay.
up on this. I'm not asking because I don't think you can ever predict this in real time, but certainly it's like, who's the Jenny at the law firm now?
Yeah.
Like you got to be looking at the people who are working for you and thinking about, I can't reverse plant myself in this company,
Yeah.
but that's close to your heart. I know you're looking for it. How do you think
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah. So nowadays I tell a lot. Actually, when I was on that alumni panel that I was talking about, when I was on it last week, I was talking about how flexible a law degree can be. And I was using myself as an example that, the law degree got me to where I am. But nowadays, I'm not really a lawyer anymore. I don't see clients hardly ever unless it's like a family or a friend. My job is keeping an eye on quality and strategy and culture. Someone just asked me earlier this week, they were like, how do you continue to grow your office, your business, and spread them out between multiple office locations? How do you keep quality and culture from getting sacrificed? And I was like, the answer is that's my whole job now. I'm not even a lawyer really anymore. I mean, I'm happy to share my brain. So the other lawyers and paralegals, if they need my brain for something, I'm a resource to them. But that's my whole job is, if I start hearing rumblings of, some, sub-department or whatever that's starting to slip a little bit, guess who is diving deep into it? Me. And that really plays to my path into it really plays into maybe like the path where I am today because I have sat in everyone's seats. I understand, okay, like I'm not going to come to the table with these like wild harebrained ideas that like they're going to be, as soon as I leave the room, they're going to be like, that will never work because, they may do that, but because I've sat in this seat, like I know I am able to dive into things and be able to come back to the service and be like, okay, this is what we need to do. 1, 2, and 3. Once we get to 3, we need to do 4, 5, and 6, and this should be solved. And so that's my whole job is quality, strategy, culture. That's it. That's it. I shouldn't say that's it, but yeah.
But it's a remarkable thing because even if she didn't say it, like Susan knew that, right?
Yeah. I think it would, like, looking back, I think she actually did offer the firm to me and another associate at the time, but that associate, still friends with him today. He's no longer at the firm. He started his own practice. But he was in a place in his life, he's like, I can't commit to that. Like him and his wife were just, I think maybe she was pregnant. They ended up moving pretty far away, which is why he doesn't work for us anymore. But yeah, I think in hindsight, I'm pretty glad that it worked out the way it was because him and I are that other attorney are very, very different. He's almost very similar to my husband in like the way that he operates. And I think a lot of people think my husband and I are crazy for running a business together. But what I can tell you is that there's certain elements of like, you can just be so honest about things where like, I'm not, if I had to run this place with that other attorney, and I snip off and say something, like I'd be worried like, oh gosh, I shouldn't have said that. Like, I hope he's not mad at me. Like, should I text him and bug him and while he's having dinner with his wife? Where if it's my husband, I'll be like, man, I'm
Of course
sorry.
I could text him and bug him with his wife. I'm his wife. It's fine.
Like at dinner, I'm like,
Yeah.
babe, I'm really sorry about that. Like there's just a weird ease about running a business to me, in my personal experience with running a business with my spouse. So
It adds, there's a different level of transparency that you can
for
have
sure.
there. And that's really cool to hear. We hear a lot of the warning tales about that. We don't hear a lot of the success stories about that. And that's
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's weird. It's just, it's an odd thing that I've often observed. And I like
Yeah.
hearing
Yeah.
this. Working with a husband and wife team, I do a lot of stuff with my wife too. And it's just one of those where it's like, doesn't this just make it better? Because it
Yes.
feels like it makes it better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have questions for you, not the
Let's
least of
go.
which is, what's your strategy when you know you're at the end of the legal pad or the notepad and you've started and you're like, I have 2 pages left. Oh my gosh. Any good strategies? Any good tips? Just write in every margin and corner and
Oh
hope that
gosh,
the
I
time.
don't think I would ever get myself in a position where I didn't have any notepads near me. Like,
So
I
I
have-
was scared. There is another one over here, but
Okay,
I was like, I knew I would knock something over if I tried
Yeah.
to reach for it. And now I feel safe that I can
yeah, grab
keep
it. Just grab it.
and see
Yeah.
that it's here and we're stocked.
Yep.
But
Yep.
in the moment, I was like, oh my God, there's 2 left. This is what
You're like, how am
back-to-back
I-
meetings will do. Okay. So you would never let that happen. Glad we could establish that from the
Yeah.
beginning. I want a follow-up question to your husband. I want to know if the convenience stores that your parents owned, was that a monopoly, an oligopoly, some other, I need the economics term. You can let me know what he says later
Yes,
on
I
that.
will. He'll know because it'll probably be on Jeopardy one day, and he'll.
I'd
get it.
like to classify what kind of, ownership structure they had by dominating the small
Yes.
town.
The small town of Fillmore, Indiana.
Shout out to Fillmore.
I don't
On
think
the show.
Fillmore, Indiana has ever been mentioned on any podcast in the history of all podcasts ever.
An intentional investor
Yes.
first. Okay, let's take it back to the stubborn trait. Is the stubborn trait still with you? Is it an affliction? How is this viewed in your current life?
Yes, very much. It's funny. There is no question. I am the daughter of my father and my mother. I am them to a T. I am like 80% my dad, 20% my mom. Like my dad is he's very stubborn. He is a very go-getter, gives 200%. He will say things that no one else will say but need to be said kind of personality. That is exactly how I am. I am a firm believer and I will always be transparent in how I feel. I'll never forget, I let an employee go. And I remember her looking at me and her saying, Jenny, one of the things I respect most about you is I always knew where I stood with you. If I did a good job, you told me. If I did a terrible job, you told me. That's just how I am. And that's very much how my dad is. To a point sometimes where it does come across a little bit like, I don't even know what the word is. Not aggressive, but harsh. Harsh is a good word. Which is then when I flip to my mom, my mom is the most like angelic, happy, smiley, wonderful human being. I flip. Like when I sense myself, like I'm my all natural self, like my dad. And then I'll get to a point where I'm like, oh, Jenny, you should have been a little bit more delicate there. And then I'll come in with my smile and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So, the stubbornness is definitely still there. But I think as I age, it like gets a little less stubborn.
It softens. It softens.
Softens
you
is a good word.
You gotta edge into that, like the glorious age of stubborn when you're like 80 and then you get to be really frustrated.
Oh gosh, everyone should check on my husband when I'm 70 and 80. Yes.
This is the good thing about working with older clients. You get the exposure to going like,
True.
oh no, I'm
Like,
going to be like that.
I can't be that. I can't be that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. I want to congratulate you again on the homecoming success.
Oh my gosh, I
again.
should have never mentioned it.
And don't tell. I was once a homecoming king.
Yes. You need
And
to add
I
it to your bio.
So we can both add them to our bios then.
If you do a still shot for our podcast here, you can put like
Put
little
the crowns on us or
Yes.
something. There
Yeah.
you go.
People will be like, who are they?
So this the whole small city, big city thing, because you didn't go back to you stayed big city.
Yep.
Is that a
Yeah.
forever thing? Retire to Nevada and
guess, you
open
know
a
what?
dog ranch? What's going to happen?
Yeah, I guess I do say, I said yes and I shouldn't have said no. So small town kid goes to the big city for school. Stayed in the big city for a while, even like after undergrad through law school. And then my husband and I, we're actually back out into like kind of more rural area. He's from a small town. I'm from a small town. And so we live on a little small cattle farm, about not quite an hour north of Indianapolis. So everything's like very easily to like get to. Like I have a Target like 15 minutes away. Like it's not like I'm in,
Heaven forbid.
yeah, like I'm not in like the boondocks, but I'm actually not even a Target girl. So I'm not even really sure why I use Target as an example.
It's a good cultural touch point of
yeah,
these things. I understand.
I'm more of a, do you guys have Meijer?
Meijer. I don't know what
I'm a big
Meijer is.
Meijer person. It's like a Walmart, Target,
Okay.
Meijer. It's like one of those. Yeah, so we actually are back into more of our like both of our original kind of roots of being in a more rural area. And like I said, we have cattle. And so
How many head of cattle does the household now
we
own?
have usually about 15 is sort of what it fluctuate. Actually, we have 3 out there right now that should be having calves probably in another week. So it'll be closer to 20 here soon, and then we'll sell some, and yeah, so it's usually around 15.
Okay. Yeah. And is there adding that back to your life? Is that adding back like a comfort factor almost? Is it just
I think so. I think it's comfort, and I also think it's going back to running the business with Justin. It forces us we get home and we love those little cows so much that, I mean, they are beef cattle, so some of them do go bye-bye. But it forces us to like come home, change clothes, get out of our, professional dress wear, put on, now we look like we rolled out of bed because we're in like, farm wear now. And it forces us to like separate work from home, because then we go out there, he's, getting the corn for him, I'm filling up the water tanks. And so it's a little bit of comfort, but it's also like my Justin always calls it's his therapy. It's like it's like very therapeutic to both of us to get out there instead of, coming home and having dinner and then just sitting on the TV and, looking to see what's on. Like we got to come home and
chores.
Still have dinner. Yeah, we got chores. Yeah. We got stuff. We got things. We have animals out there that are counting on us. So, yeah.
There's something in those transformations that's actually really, really a cool thing, I think.
Yeah.
Do you still think of BHAGs? Is that still part of your life at all? Do you think about that with a job anymore?
I really don't. That's a great, I do I'm really big into, usually about quarterly, I will touch base with like my my team members, and I'll find something that, on the internet that's kind of like not a game, but like a recent thing I did was like Rosebud Thorn, which is like, Rose is like, what's something really awesome going on in your life that you're willing to share with me? A bud is like, what's something that like you're really excited that maybe, coming down the pike kind of thing. And then a thorn is like, what's something that like is going on that maybe you need help with? And those kind of things are like between me and the person, not like for public, we're not,
not the HR file, not kumbaya circle session.
Yeah. But I'm absolutely convinced I'm in the place that I'm in because of Susan's constant mentoring and accountability and the BHAGs and things like that. So I don't really personally set them anymore. Maybe I should. But I do very much translate that into running the business.
You got as you said, I think it was the wild harebrained ideas, which doesn't assemble into the BHAG thing, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's weird. It feels like every generation needs those types of things to just help them communicate. And we all have
Yeah.
to, I feel like, kind of hate them while we're doing them. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, do I really need this cutesy metaphor
Yes.
to
I
talk
know.
to the operations person? But
I know.
kinda.
Yeah. Yeah. I never force it. I mean, yeah, I would never do that. I'm always like, you are 100%. You can ignore this email. You can ignore this lunch invitation, whatever. They know me well enough that I'm not, I really, truly, if they don't want to do that kind of,
It's just,
like the powwow
no,
stuff, they're like, I don't care.
that's a
Yeah.
good culture. All right. You're going to clarify one phrase. And I do have one more question here for you, or two
Okay.
more really. GZOP? What was
Geezo Pete? Is that not a thing?
GZO? Okay. GZO Pete.
Pete. Yes.
Thank you. I was like, I know this expression. I've heard this expression, but I need to break this apart into its component parts. So it's GZO.
Oh,
Pete.
Pete.
And do you have
Yep.
any awareness of what this means or where this comes
I
from?
have no idea. But what's so funny is I had a little bit of a panic when you just asked me that, because a fun fact about me, personally and in the office, I butcher all sayings. Like, I will get like midway through a saying and I won't, like, I'll forget, or like I don't know how it ends, and then I'm like scrambling, like, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. And so everyone makes fun of me for it, and they'll finish it for me. And then I'll start mixing sayings where they're like, Jenny, that's not a saying. That's not a saying at all. And I'm like, oh, I thought it was.
That's fantastic. Anything that breaks up the Hallmark complex
Yeah.
by force, you have my full support. All right, here's the real question that I wanted to come back to on this. The semester at sea boat, those kids that you made friends with, the law school kids, and now the culture of this firm you're building. Like, there's this real communal aspect that shows up in these distinct places. And I can tell by the way you talk about those relationships, how important the relationships that those literal and figurative vessels created for you. Do you
Yeah.
connect those three experiences ever? Do you think of them that way?
No, I feel like they're very separate, at least in my brain. Like, I very much like segregate them in my brain. But I think it's probably because of what I do that, I'm not sure I had like the level of gratitude that I have now. I don't think I had that level of gratitude like 20 years ago. But I think because of what I do with the state and elder law, I am reminded daily of how short life can be, how finicky people sometimes can be, like families fighting and things like that. And so I'm constantly reminded of just being very appreciative for like the especially, probably most especially, the things that I look at as positive things of my life. Like, I'm so deeply appreciative for them. And I think it's because of what I do. I'm so grateful for those. Yeah. But you're right. You're very much right. I do look at them very separately, but man, I feel like I've just lived a really awesome life. And I'm so grateful for it. And I'm surrounded by amazing people. Yeah. So
I say it because I feel like I see that worldly appreciation and gratitude of what that opened up for you, and that you, like, in the semester at sea, and then with this condensed law school group, it's some weird mix of those things in what I sense is the culture of this firm that you're building, of being like, let me create this for you.
yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, I think it probably just one of those things that has happened organically that I've
Yeah,
never
it's in your
really,
DNA. It's just being
yeah, where
expressed in some way now.
I've never connected those dots that you just connect. I've never connected them, but yeah, I could totally see what you mean.
There's a very cool thread in there somewhere. Jenny Rozelle, if people want to find you, they want to bug you on the internet, learn more about the firm, where should they look you up?
Well, they're always welcome to come to my petting zoo. No, I'm kidding. We don't really have a petting zoo at all. Don't come to my house.
But you could. But you could.
But you could. So Indiana State and Elder Law is my law firm. When I said earlier, the law stuff is boring. If you're into the boring stuff, Indiana State and Elder Law, I can only help Indiana residents. I do a lot of these kind of podcast things, and people will be like, oh my gosh, I loved her, and they'll live in Pennsylvania. And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
No one can help people in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I've already proven this out. Yeah. We're helpless. It's over.
Yeah. But more socially speaking, I'm most active on Twitter/X, and it's my handle is my name, Jenny Rozelle.
Fantastic. And the podcast, you're still doing the podcast?
Oh yeah, I always forget to mention. I'm like the world's
I'm
worst
plugging the
marketer.
podcast.
Yeah,
That's
I
okay.
do a weekly podcast on all things estate and elder law. It's Legal TEA. Yeah, I love doing that too. It keeps me on my toes. I love doing it.
And whether it was Fraser Rice or somebody else has sent me this on more than one occasion because you've been doing like the things we all love, the celebrity death screw up breakdowns. I applaud this. They're endlessly entertaining for anybody adjacent to these fields.
Yeah.
To hear how bad is Schadenfreude, but like we want to find out how much they mess something up that we feel like we might have a chance of pulling off, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't. They're like, oh, they're celebrities. Like, I can't relate to them. I'm like, no, they make some very relatable mistakes. Like a lot. Yeah. So you better believe I'm like creepily watching to see what headlines like Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan. Yeah. So I'm watching. I'll be doing an episode on them once more headlines start coming out.
I'm putting more faith in the Osbourne family clan, mostly in Sharon, than I am in whatever's going to happen with Hulk Hogan. But
yeah, true. We'll see. I always say that the best person so far that did an A+ job is Betty White, which should absolutely surprise no one. Everyone's favorite grandma. She did an awesome job.
I mean, the Golden Girls practice alone, you got to figure.
Yeah.
Steeped in elder law by the time she got around to needing it.
Totally.
Jenny Rozelle, I want to thank you so much for coming out and joining us today. This is The Intentional Investor, and you are truly an intentional investor, Jenny. So thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you're watching The Intentional Investor so more people can find our show. You can follow Matt directly at cultishcreative.com or at cultishcreative on Twitter. For more great content at the intersection of investing and life, check out epsilontheory.com or at epsilontheory on Twitter.